Hello, lovelies. Tonight I was thinking of reading you a bedtime story. I hope it will make you sleepy and remind you of the times when we were children and someone was tucking you to your bed and reading you a bedtime story. And if you weren't as lucky, let me help you with that. So you go to bed, tuck yourself in, and let's read a little Snow White. It was in the middle of winter, when the broad flakes of snow were falling around, that a certain queen sat working at her window, the frame of which was made of fine black ebony. And as she was looking out upon the snow, she pricked her finger, and 3 drops of blood fell upon it. Then she gazed thoughtfully down on the red drops which sprinkled the white snow and said, "Would that my little daughter may be as white as the snow, as red as the blood, and as black as the ebony window frame." And so the little girl grew up. Her skin was white as snow, her cheeks as rosy as blood, and her hair as black as ebony, and she was called Snow White. But this queen died, and the king soon married another wife, who was very beautiful, but so proud that she could not bear to think that anyone could surpass her. She had a magical looking glass to which she used to go and gaze upon herself in it and say, "Tell me, glass, tell me true, of all the ladies in the land, who is fairest? Tell me who." And the glass answered, "Thou, queen, art fairest in the land." But Snow White grew more and more beautiful, and when she was 7 years old, she was as bright as the day, and fairer than the queen herself. Then the glass one day answered queen, when she went to consult it as usual, "Thou, queen, may as fair and beauteous be, but Snow White is lovelier far than thee." When the queen heard this, she turned pale with rage and envy, and calling to one of her servants said, "Take Snow White away into the wide wood, and I may never see her more." Then the servant led the little girl away, but his heart melted when she begged him to spare her life. And he said, "I will not hurt thee, thou pretty child." So he left her there alone and thought it most likely that the wild beast would tear her to pieces. He felt as if a great weight were taken off his heart when he had made up his mind not to kill her, but leave her to her fate. That poor Snow White wandered along through the wood in the great fear, and the wild beasts roared around, but none did her any harm. In the evening she came to a little cottage and went in there to rest, for her weary feet would carry her no further. Everything was spruce and neat in the cottage. On the table was spread a white cloth, and there were 7 little plates with 7 little loaves, and 7 little glasses with wine in them, and knives and forks laid in order, and by the wall stood 7 little beds. Then, as she was exceedingly hungry, she picked a little piece of each loaf and drank a very little wine out of each glass, and after that she thought she would lie down and rest. So she tried all the little beds, and one was too long, another one was too short, till at last the 7th suited her, and there she laid herself down and went to sleep. Presently in came the masters of the cottage, who were 7 little dwarfs that lived along the mountains and dug and searched about for gold. They lighted up their 7 lamps and saw directly that all was not right. The first said, "Who was sitting on my stool?" The second, "Who has been eating off my plate?" The third, "Who has been picking at my bread?" The fourth, "Who has been meddling with my spoon?" The fifth, "Who has been handling my fork?" The sixth, "Who has been cutting with my knife?" The seventh, "Who has been drinking my wine?" Then the first looked around and said, "Who has been lying on my bed?" And the rest came running to him, and everyone cried out that somebody has been up on his bed. But the 7th saw Snow White and called upon his brethren to come and look at her, and they cried out with wonder and astonishment, and brought their lamps, and gazing upon her they said, "Good heavens, what a lovely child she is!" And they were delighted to see her, and took care not to waken her, and the 7 dwarfs slept an hour with each of the other dwarfs in turn, till the night was gone. In the morning, Snow White told them all her story, and they pitied her and said, if she would keep all things in order, and cook and wash and knit and spin for them, she might stay where she was, and they would take a good care of her. Then they went out all day long to their work, seeking for the gold and silver in the mountains. And the Snow White remained at home, and they warned her, saying, "The Queen will soon find out where you are, so take care and let no one in." But the Queen, now that she thought Snow White was dead, believed that she was certainly the handsomest lady in the land. So she went to her glass and said, "Tell me, glass, tell me true, of all the ladies in the land, who is fairest? Tell me who." And the glass answered, "Thou, Queen, thou art fairest in all the land, but over the hills in the greenwood shade, where the 7 dwarfs their dwelling have made, there a Snow White is hiding, and is lovelier far, O Queen, than thee." Then the Queen was very much alarmed, for she knew that the glass always spoke the truth, and she was sure that the servant has betrayed her. And as she could not bear to think that anyone lived who was more beautiful than she was, she disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went her way over the hills to the place where the dwarfs dwelt. Then she knocked at the door and cried, "Fine wares to sell." Snow White looked out of the window and said, "Good day, good woman. What have you to sell?" Okay, let's stop here. If you liked it, please tell me in the comments and I will continue to read it next time. For today, I hope it helped you relax and maybe even fall asleep. That would be a very good thing. So, good night, have sweet dreams, and see you next time.